Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, everyone. Welcome back to another trading day. Yeah, we'll get started here pretty soon, obviously. Just gonna wait for some more people to stroll on in. So anyways, good morning to those that may be here and those that are coming. So far this morning we've had XRTX penny stock do okay. Had a decent move. I don't know, maybe there's some more. I don't really know, but XRTX was a decent little penny stock today. Did a little trading on that one because obviously it started an uptrend today, had some momentum. It's kind of tapered off since then. What other decent one was there? RANI got a little piece of this earlier. Don't have anything on now. Maybe it keeps going. Don't know. But that's another one that was okay today. Aside from that, a lot of the other ones this morning popped in the after hours and pretty much faded out all morning. Kind of like CREV had one pop, fade down. There hasn't been a ton of kind of continuation on the pennies this morning. But XRTX did okay. I also like this one here. This is something else I currently have small position on and think is somewhat decent. GWH. So if you look at GWH started an uptrend right here. So if you guys, if you see, obviously you're probably looking at the screen. But this yellow line, that's our 4-hour trend. So essentially what happened this morning, GWH goes up enough to break out the 4-hour. So that's a 4-hour uptrend start, and this would be a 4-hour up. Well, that'd be the 4-hour level, the yellow, and so this would be a 4-hour breakout, 4-hour back test. So riding up this bounce long because this would be the back test of a 4-hour uptrend. So if the 4-hour wants to continue, great, that's awesome. I think GWH arguably has the potential to go as high as $7. Well, it's also a moving average, so that price will change. But basically, this is kind of how I'm reading the market. Best case scenario of the 4-hour long for me would be back to the 30-minute here. Worst case scenario is that the long ends up falling apart and it's going to go back to the 4-hour, and then the 4-hour uptrend fails and down. So basically, I've already traded this bounce up, taken a little profit on it. Now the position I hold can't hurt me, so I'm hoping I'm just going to let it go, right? So if we do get the full move, great. Maybe we'll see up to $7. If we don't, again, doesn't really matter. But so the way that I'm reading this market is basically the two areas of interest are the two yellow lines right now. And there could be something else I'm missing. I didn't take a super long time looking at this one, but yeah, basically the two areas of interest for me on this current market with GWH are going to be the two yellows. So basically either market pretty much goes there or it's going to end up going there. And I'm just currently riding the momentum right now, and I cannot lose on this position regardless. So whether it goes down or goes up don't really matter to me at this point. Well, obviously I'd like it to go up, right? That'd be great. So I've got a little one on there. I think that one's somewhat decent. And then I'll show you what like the longer term charts on this one look like a little bit. So if you look at the 4-hour, so you'll see exactly what I was talking about. So this one obviously broke out however long ago, squeezed up, right? Sold all the way back down to the 4-hour, broke the 4-hour down yesterday, or well, in the after hours, retraced the 4-hour, then broke the 4-hour, and then that back test is where I'm liking that long, right? And if we now look at, say, the 30-minute here, right, if we look at the 30-minute, you can see the 30-minute broke down, right? So the 30-minute's bearish, but the 30-minute doesn't have a back test, right? So it's really just broken down. doesn't have a back test. Does it have to back test? Not necessarily. Could it back test today? Maybe. Could it back test in a couple days, etc.? Could the moving average come down and we back test, etc.? It could do many things, but ultimately I see that the 4-hour went positive on GWH today, and then we don't have, and let me double check something else. Let's see the 15-minute. All right, 15 minutes right there. I might have made a mistake. We'll see. Yeah, I did make a mistake. So the 15-minute is actually the target right now. Let me double check something else. We got the 1 hour here. All right. Let me just double check one more thing. 5-day 10 right there. All right. So back to GWH, because I don't want to give anyone wrong information. Really is what I'm trying to avoid doing. All right. So made a little bit of a mistake. Jumped the gun. So pretty much our 4-hour went positive and ran to the 15. 15's given resistance, right? And I actually did that wrong again because I'm either way. But long story short, I had mentioned watching the market up to the 30-minute. Well, first you'd have to get to the 15-minute, which is why we stopped the market there. So essentially 2 areas of interest, like we said before, like that break spot, the 4-hour. So the 2 areas of interest, sorry, right now are here and here, right? So obviously you got to get up to the 15 to go 30, etc., etc. We're just doing basically, like I said, a 4-hour breakout and a 4-hour bounce move, and if the 4-hour continues, great. So that's something arguably working on. EWPK. I'll take a look at them. I mean, I've been looking all morning at a bunch of different other things, and but I'll take a peek. Did it just start moving? No. Yeah, I mean, that's going to have to flip back into an uptrend for long bias movement. Not quite in an uptrend right now. Well, that's not entirely true, but the uptrends that I would look for, it hasn't really gotten one started. EPWK started a long move yesterday. That one... Yeah, so this is how I would read EPWK. So yesterday on the 30-minute, we started an uptrend right there. So that's where the 30-minute went positive. So that's a 30-minute uptrend start. Market obviously pulls back towards 30-minute and holds. If you want to call this like a flag down, I don't, whatever you want. But ultimately, it's just a breakout of the 30-minute and a back test, which didn't fully back test, but anyways, now moving up a little bit, right? So, then if you transition to your 4-hour, you're going to see the 4-hour downtrend comes into play right there. So basically, you are late to the 30-minute uptrend start. That broke out yesterday. So if you wanted to be long the stock, you're supposed to be getting long as it broke through that yellow line, and then arguably on the dips here, right? Now, the 4-hour would be here at 16.10 cents. So basically, you would need... at this point, EPWK to break out the 4-hour to really see like a new big move. Otherwise, it's just bouncing. But yeah, the breakout was yesterday on that. Now you're going to need to get above the 4-hour to re-kick kind of momentum and a new uptrend start there. So yeah, don't... what's going on, Steve? Good morning to you. Yeah, so for EPWK, not that it couldn't do good, not that ADAP can't do good. It's just currently, if I look at them, they're not triggering specific levels that would particularly interest me a whole lot. Also, let's take a peek at Bitcoin, because obviously... Alright, so Bitcoin hit our sell target pretty much this morning. So for those of you that follow the stream every single day, you'll know that basically just yesterday and a couple days, what have we been talking about? There's always a lot, but all said and done, we were pretty much looking for what? The Bitcoin market to come down and do what? Retrace volume weighted average prices that it hadn't yet tested from its long move up. So essentially, we have VWAP off low, VWAP here, and basically VWAP here in a nutshell, right? So what do we expect? That pretty much the Bitcoin market would do what? Sell down into that zone. And then the Bitcoin market, once it sells down into this zone, would pick any one of these 3 specific volume-weighted average price points to potentially bottom the market on. All right, so now let's go look at the 1 minute, and we'll look at each one of those levels, all right? As the market sold down into it. Let me delete the yellow box. All right, so basically these green lines, right? Those were our sell targets for Doesn't really matter, but just in general, right? So what ends up happening? Bitcoin sells down to first one, no love. Sells down to next one, no love. Sells down to third one, and finally we're starting to see that love, right? So we're bouncing the weekly volume weighted average price. Now think too, where were the previous weekly volume weighted average prices? Right there. Those didn't hold, they broke down. Where do we go? The next one down. This one bounces. Where does the bounce go? Back to previous weekly VWAPs that broke down. So that's really just a weekly VWAP breakdown to weekly VWAP hold support, bounce back to weekly volume weighted average price that was previously broken down. So either way, sell targets for the moment completed on Bitcoin. Now we're doing a counter long trade off the weekly VWAP 1 to here. So anyways, really just want to update, let you guys know that the short-term sell target has completed for Bitcoin, and then obviously when we said you would look for, bounces at any one of these specific points, it started on the lowest one, which is also what we kind of figured would probably be the case. But anyway, so pretty much the short-term sell is kind of done for the moment. Not that it couldn't go lower, etc., etc., etc. You guys already know we expected a bear market to start October 13th of this year, 2025, right? So even though I'm saying, oh yeah, there's a little bounce here, it's like, generally speaking, the overall sentiment right now for us is to watch things in a bearish manner for like the next 2 years or so. Again, we hope that is wrong. I hope I am wrong and Bitcoin doesn't enter a bear market. I hope my analysis is wrong. I hope that the forecast I made 3 years ago now about the market topping this month on the 13th is wrong. So far, the market has topped this October. Started topping a little bit before the 13th, but if you average it out, all the dumping started happening right about mid-October, which lines up with the analysis that literally started 3 years ago. So again, fingers crossed that I'm wrong, the world's wrong, everyone's wrong, right? And the market ends up going up. But so far, that's not the case. So far, what's happening is the market is going down exactly as, many may have anticipated in this October. There's a lot of talk of the 4-year cycles not repeating. I'm not one of them. Again, I don't know if it's going to repeat. I don't know if it's not going to repeat. The market will tell us sooner than later. My analysis just points to a bear market for the next year to, 2 years basically, 1.5 to 2 years, with an expectation that prices could go as low as basically 52, 55,000 for the moment. So, don't get too optimistic of these oversold bounces that we're talking about, right? Because we could very well be transitioning the market to longer term bearish, which means every bounce would then obviously get sold into at some point, right? So that's kind of where we're thinking, is that markets will be bearish for arguably the next 1.5 to 2 years. We will see many swing lows and many swing highs throughout the course of that next 1.5 to 2 years. You know what I mean? So what we're going to do pretty much for the next 1.5 years is talk about targets to the downside and then counter long targets to the upside. And then each one of our sell targets down are arguably counter trend starts. So just like you saw here, just how Bitcoin sold into our sell target, and then there's arguably a bounce, right? So whenever you meet a sell target zone, generally you'll have an opposite reaction or bounce. And all you're seeing me do is use specific price points where I'm trying to find where the sell target will go to and then where a bounce arguably would start, right? So for me, it could have arguably be any one of these 3 lines over the past day. But clearly we picked the lowest one, which kind of makes sense, right? So anyways, that's what's going on with Bitcoin for the moment. Also, we need to do a little bit of an update here on Bitcoin. What time is it? 9:07, plenty of time. All right, got to do a little bit of an update here. So as far as Bitcoin goes or is concerned, right now our counter trend targets are here. We have to make an update. So yesterday you saw me anchor here to here, but here's a new, so normally we always talk about anchoring to the high of a move or the low of a move. The only other the only other time we anchor a little differently is when it's a breakout or a breakdown. So if you look, you will see on this daily chart that basically the market was getting supported here and like in this area. So we'll just draw some line like that, right? So we just did what? We came through that. We broke that down. So we also add an anchor to the daily candle that breaks that structure so that we chase the volume weighted average price of two things: the people that sold the market and broke it down there, and then also the people that stopped out there, right? Because obviously people stopped out and people went short. So the psychology of anchoring the VWAP to this candle here is because, well, hold on, got to anchor to the high. So the reason we're going to anchor here now is because we know that price action basically broke that structure. So people stopped out, and then people obviously maybe shorted for the breakdown. So we are now going to track the volume weighted average price from the lower high here, and we're going to track the volume weighted average price from the candle that broke the structure. So that now increases our counter trend target just a little bit. So that is now our counter trend target. So if in the event the market on Bitcoin doesn't really break these weekly areas and just keep going, and it kind of ends up holding here and then bouncing, that's going to be our target. And also this box for each new daily candle will generally get lower and lower. So right now it's here. You know, in 2 days it could be a little lower, which it will be. And if you guys tune into the streams, I'll just keep updating it so it's not like you'll miss anything. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for Bitcoin for the moment. And then also, today is Friday. This is a weekly VWAP. What we're seeing right now is your initial knee-jerk reaction once it hits support, right? So market's selling, people are short, we hit support potential levels, if you will. Shorts cover, longs buy the dip, right? Arguably for trading purposes. Okay? But it's Friday. This is a weekly VWAP support, right? Right now, the entire chart, if we look, I'm just going to delete all this stuff real quick. If you look, this candle's beat red. So do you think you're going to hit this weekly VWAP down here and then reverse this entire candle green? You really think on a Friday, with only like 2 days left in the trading session, 2.5, that you're going to hit this support level and then reverse this entire red weak green within like 2 days? I mean, good luck, be my guess. Probably not. So what would arguably be more of a likely event is that we have come into potential support, we get our first knee-jerk reaction. That's exactly how we're creating the wick on the low of this weekly candle. You see that? So basically our one of support levels so far that we had mentioned to you guys is currently creating the wick for this current week's candle. Think about that. And actually I have that priced a little wrong. It should be a little higher. My apologies. So let's just make sure it's accurate because, you know. So we're going to throw that VWAP down there. Settings, low, low, bing, bang, boom. So it's actually the VWAP is right here. So does that low end up holding? I don't know. You be my guess. But so far, the support that we have picked for the drop of this Bitcoin market is creating the wick on the low of that candle, right? So remember, this is a weekly VWAP. So if the market's going to hold here, and if there is going to be a bounce, we arguably expect it would happen over the course into the next week, which would be Sunday. So Sunday, a new weekly candle will come. If we continue holding the support, then maybe we will flip next week's candle green, and then it's next week's candle that will rally up and then get the daily VWAPs, etc. So that's basically what we're waiting on. We've hit a potential support. There's been an initial start of a long at that low. Now we probably have to wait until Sunday to see if this bottom holds and if the algorithms and computers and just call it the market is willing to change from red to green on weekly prints, right? So right now the whole entire week is red, probably not going to reverse this candle green. If it did, that would be a miracle. Jesus, the Messiah, might be back if that happened. So right now we're kind of in this just waiting until Sunday, and we'll probably have some resolution by Sunday. Either the support is probably going to have given up by then, or it's held, and then arguably we transition to a green candle next week. So We just got to give this one some time now to see what this market wants to do next. So as far as Bitcoin goes, in the moment, I am not really bearish as far as like short-term analysis and short-term trading goes. I'm more of kind of like slightly long and optimistic, but still kind of tiptoeing because we arguably need to still wait till Sunday, right? We've done the first initial knee-jerk reaction into support, and we've got the bounce, right? That was it. Now we pretty much just got to wait till Sunday, and we're going to find out if this support wants to hold or not, right? Either way, you guys will all see this kind of work out as you keep tuning into the streams. Good morning, Rico. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to the 12 people who are tuning in. Do make sure to chat. I don't care what you say. You could post a joke. You could post news. Tell me hi. Tell me hello. Just chat random stuff, just so the YouTube algorithm picks it up. I don't care what you say. Someone could just type in a million different responses of one letter, a period, right? Who cares? How do you place a VWAP? Well, first you need to have TradingView, so, which is the website you see on my screen, TradingView. It's free. And then Anchor VWAPs will be within your forecast and measurement tools. I think that's what it's called. Hold on. It's not showing me. There it is. Yeah, so you see where my cursor's at? You see how it says forecasting and measurement tools? That's where you will find Anchored VWAP. It's under volume-based tools. That's what you use. And then once you start using it, you're going to have to change the settings of them. It's super simple. I just use the VWAP. There's band multipliers, and you can add multiples, but ultimately, not that I don't use them and not that there isn't value. As far as teaching goes and showing people stuff, people get over confused if I went that far. Nice being here. All right, Joe737, good to see you. Thanks for the comment, Josh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like it. But yes, as far as placing the VWAP, TradingView, measurement and forecast tools, Anchor VWAP. When a bottom is put in, you anchor to that low, and that will many times help you understand where a pullback will be in the future, and then the target pullback, and then potential higher lows. So you're just anchoring to highs and lows constantly throughout the day, essentially. All right, so it's 9:15. We're going to get over to the SPY now. Hold on, I got to take a peek at something. I might be late, but I do see there's a new penny stock on my scanner, so let's see if it's anything decent. What is this? Hold on. SGHT. See, like this one, we're late, right? So that's what I was saying is sometimes these things just happen so quick you can't really participate, or you just elevate your risk. So that's why I'm always looking for something. But already, so like SGHT, I just saw like it's something new on my scanner. But as you can see here, I'll show you where the uptrends start, and then we'll look at where we're at right now. Price is too elevated. So so if you look at yesterday, the uptrend started on the stock yesterday over the 30-minute, right? And then there's the back test. Okay. And then if you look into the 4-hour, we broke out the 4-hour yesterday, and then this was our back test. So essentially, from the past 2 days, like this was our 30-minute trend breakout, 4-hour trend breakout, 30-minute, 4-hour back test recovery long, right? So the fact it's on my scanner right now, it's too high. The uptrend started yesterday, et cetera, et cetera. So this is something that I would just avoid because it's just not close enough to the uptrend. Because then if this uptrend fails and doesn't keep going, then the risk would be down 16%, right? If you start buying it there. So can't do that one. All right, well, anyways, over to SPY we go. All right, so I posted like 6 million videos yesterday, it seemed, but, you know, that's what you need to do to keep the public informed and on the right side of the market, essentially. So let's just let's just review yesterday. All right, so what do we know? We know that I'm just going to say it simply, so that way we don't take too long, and then I'll start doing the detailed stuff, right? So basically what? 50 SMAs here, slash here yesterday when it back tested. So let's go look at a regular or extended trading hours. All right, so what do we know? We know that when the market broke below these green levels, that means the market enters a neutral to bearish state, right? So neutral to bearish below the green. All right, the previous day, the market broke over the green, so that's a long, right? So you see the market went up, dipped, long. Market stopped there. That's because of the VIX. So when the market peaked here, that's because the VIX was hitting. That's because the VIX was going into a buy move, right? So we went into a buy signal on the market. We took it long, and then the VIX went into a buy signal. So we short the market. The VIX breakout allows us to pull the market down. So then the market goes where? To the 50 SMA. Then it breaks down. So now the market is a neutral to bearish state. Then we back test, confirm the breakdown. Market slides. Then market gaps down overnight. And when you wake up this morning and everyone's panicking because the market's so low, what do? They go to Google and then they read the news. And then the news tells them it's no longer the China stuff that's scary. It's now the bank jitters and bad loans. So let's just pull up the news real quick. Stock market news. Bring over our front. Oh, why am I defaulting to Yahoo? I don't know when that happened. Stock market news today. All right, so basically yesterday we go into a sell move, and as a result, markets go down, and then there's a gap down today, and then you come in today and new traders and beginners are going, oh my God, the market's down, like something must have happened. Yeah, we went into a breakdown yesterday. We went into a sell signal yesterday. We went into an algorithmic flip of the market. We were positive. We went negative midday yesterday. So what happens? Algorithms, computers start selling equities because that's just what happens. So then equities and things go down. Then the markets go down. And then the news comes because the news has to provide the public some sort of reason for why the market's going down. Aside from the fact it simply just goes up and down from sell signals to buy signals. And once you're able to start identifying where the market shifts in real time, you'll start to understand how the news just follows behind. All right. So yesterday, market goes into a sell move, things goes down, algorithms, computers sell equities, markets go down, you wake up, there's a gap down today. You're panicked. You go read the news because you're like, well, what's going on? And now they tell you stocks, actually they're talking about the rebound now, but prior to fears edges up amid bank fears, right? Bank stocks tumble, which arguably they did, right? But regardless, we were just going into a sell move is all, and clearly we're using the bank stocks to move the markets is really the way I'd read that. Dow futures turn higher after a racing steep overnight drop, blah blah blah. Nasdaq futures recover. So now that the markets are starting to bounce a bit, they're basically talking about the bounce. So right now they have everyone, arguably thinking the markets are fine, they're bouncing, but we're still actually in a sell move. So we are not out of the water yet, and the market news is basically pumping to retail like the decline's over, things are rising. Like, why would you be scared, right? Though we're actually still negative. So that means like markets aren't out of the woods yet, right? So nonetheless, what we saw, breakdown yesterday, things go down. Now the news tells you that it's basically all the bank's fault, even though, again, a week ago it was China's fault. So I don't know who works at these news organizations and how they decide when the public thinks it's one thing or the market thinks it's another thing within like a 2-day time period, right? It's crazy. I don't know how they shift bias so fast or their reasoning so fast. They clearly don't have much conviction in what they're writing. Because if they did, then the market should be down because of China regardless, right? Not the bank stock. So who knows? Goofy things going on at those news organizations. I'm not sure what they got going on. So that's basically getting you caught up to speed on the news, why the news is the way the news is, and then why the market did what the market did. All right, so basically we had a breakdown yesterday. All right, so what's that mean? That means that I deleted this stuff for no reason. I always draw so much, it's literally quicker, delete everything and then just redo it. But anyways, So we had a breakdown yesterday below the 50 SMA. All right, so what's that mean? That means the market is in a neutral to bearish state. If you're doing longs, you're counter trend long in the market or oversold bouncing the market, but you're not dip long or higher low, higher high, trend long, swing long. It's all oversold bouncing or counter trend trading if you're going long. So we know that the market is neutral to bearish below this 50 SMA, right? So CNBC and all these articles are talking about this nice recovery, which it is, right? But until we get over that 50 SMA, we're not back to a bullish market. This is just an oversold bounce within a potentially still bearish trending market, right? Also, if we look at the volatility index, right? So, you know, if we come bring this volatility index up, so we'll give you guys the targets on the VIX. So pretty much all these yellow lines you see here are all my targets on the downside for the VIX today, right? So basically what's going to happen if we can reset the VIX back down to say like the 30-minute or the 15, I'm going to delete some of this stuff, kind of clean it up, redo it with you guys. But ultimately, let's look at the uptrends, all right? So we're going to start here with a 1 hour, all right? So we know that the VIX broke out the 1 hour here, volatility's up. That's basically why the markets are going down, whatever. All right, but there's no back test, right? So we know at some point that's going to happen. It's not an if, it will. Guaranteed. It's going to happen, all right? So that's there. Then we have the 30-minute. The 30-minute started its long here, right? Then it restarted along here off the bounce, and then it restarted along here off the bounce. So basically from this last bounce, there's no back test. So that is going to happen. Not if, it will. It's a guarantee, all right? Let's go to the 15-minute. The 15-minute, basically no back test since its last long. All right, let's go to the 10-minute. 1 second, where is that? 10 minutes all the way down. I should move that. 10-minute, no back test since its last long. All right, so that's right there, which is usually the case and many times. So now you see how we've developed every single one of those lines. They're literally just each SMA that the market's in an uptrend for that has yet to back test. So what's that mean? It means when the long stops, it will start back testing all of the previous levels of uptrends that it has yet to back test. Dang it, I just deleted a bunch of stuff that I didn't want to delete. Let's add them back. All right, we're going to go 10-day, 30-minute, bing, bang, boom, just like that. Was there another one I missed in there? Was the 15-minute? Was the 15-minute? And then I'm just going to do a 5-minute for fun, though I don't really pay too much attention to the 5-minute, but it'll be fun regardless. So you can see those are all uptrends, and these are all the SMAs that relate to all those different uptrends and time frames. All right, so then as we go into a pre-market chart, you can see what? So the VIX was up really big this morning. Why? Because the market went in a sell signal yesterday, then the market gapped down, so the VIX gapped up. And then all of the support trends that it has yet to test from the last uptrend start would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so what's that mean? We pretty much expect that VIX, when it gives up, will retrace all of those levels. So that would be the 5-minute. Once the 5-minute breaks and gets acceptance, where we go? 10-minute. 10-minute breaks, acceptance, where's it go? Here, etc., etc. All right, that could be a lot to take in. So let me simplify now. Let's delete all of this. And now we're just going to use a 30-minute and a 1 hour trend. So let's go to wherever I was. This is fine, I think. 30-minute. All right, so now what we're going to do is just simplify all this. We're going to go to the 30-minute and we're going to go to the 1 hour, because generally speaking, well, actually the 15-minute would be good too. So we'll do the 15, the 30, and the 1 in this instance. These are like the more of the main levels that we pay attention to, specifically the 30 and the 1 hour. But either way, what's going to happen is basically we're looking to take the VIX back down to support, right? So arguably we're looking to get the VIX either down to here or have these moving averages catch up to the price, all right? If the VIX starts to break down the 30-minute, then we'll launch the market back up, etc. So we will use the VIX in a way to potentially bottom bounce the market, all right? So like I said, to simplify it, right now, VIX is in an uptrend above the 1 hour and the 30-minute and the 15-minute. It needs a back test of them. Whether it comes sooner or later, doesn't really matter. It's going to happen. And then that can be used as a catalyst to continue long in the markets. Why did I just go over all of that? The reason I just went over all of that is because we know what? We know that the stock market is below the 50 SMA. And what do we also know? We know that the VIX is above the 50 SMA, right? So what would be one way that we would look to be long bias the market in this sell move, right? We know that the market's bearish below the green line, right? What would convince us to be bullish even though it's below the green line? If the VIX continues to sell off and goes for its 30-minute trend test, right? So if the VIX continues to go down and sell down, what do we expect? We expect, though this market is bearish, we will continue to long it up, right? So that we can test stuff like that 50 SMA. So that's a great question. I'm really happy you asked it. It's actually probably the best question I've had in some days. And actually, Joe, you asked me another question. Right click undo. All right. Yeah. Find the view app things. All right. So yes, great question. What happens if the VIX and the market both go up? That does happen occasionally. All right. So the most common instance we will see, there's only a minute till market open. Most common instance you see when VIX is going up the same time the market's going up is when we have a volatility event on the horizon for the week. FOMC, CPI, big data announcements are obviously volatile, announcements. So since we know FOMC and CPI are already volatility announcements, we expect volatility will increase. Therefore, the markets are forward looking. So the VIX will start to increase in anticipation of the volatility that will come from FOMC. So on weeks of FOMC and CPI, a lot of times you'll see the VIX increasing. But since the volatility event hasn't happened, a lot of times the market can kind of still go up. So you could be getting opposing arguments where the VIX is going up and market's going up, but it's not because the market's ready to go down yet. It's because we're anticipating the volatility that's already going to come from such volatility events. So forward-looking volatility increase because we know volatility is on the horizon. That's a very common thing you see in that instance. Sorry guys, I was looking at some other stuff, but that's my dog, as you guys can probably hear. He likes to go crazy. But yeah, guys, right now this is our pullback target, and then trailing support over under. I didn't mention it yet, but you guys know it's always the same strategy every single day. All right, so that's the pre-market low, 30-minute volume weighted average price. How's this going to work? Basically, if markets run up, you expect that we can pull the price down to about there, and then we look for support and keep rallying it up. Or if we give this up, we'll go lower, kind of thing. So there's still more to it than that, but either way. All right, let me just get in my zone here. I got dogs going crazy. Got to get in my zone. And then also Daymond, I don't know if I'm saying that right. There's another scenario about the VIX going up and then markets going up that I didn't explain, and that has to do with understanding buy and sell moves. Basically, if the VIX is in a sell signal, right, and it's actually in a bearish trend, and it's low price, say like 15, 16s, 14s, but so let's say the VIX is priced anywhere from 16 to 14, right, and it's in a sell signal, meaning it's below its 50 SMA. It's in a bearish 30-minute trend. It's
it's more likely that you will see the VIX kind of have counter long bounces and the market still go up. So there'll be days where you're seeing the VIX actually go up, but the market's still going up, and then you're scratching your head and going, well, I thought they have an inverse relationship. They do, but that inverse relationship starts to cooperate the way you want when the VIX breaks into a buy move, because then we sell the market down, right? But if the VIX is in a sell move and you're seeing it long up, volatility and fear aren't really being triggered. You're just seeing ebb and flow in a downtrend. So long story short, you will see the VIX go up and the markets go up when the VIX is in a downtrend. You're simply just seeing a counter bounce in a downtrend, and then the markets go up, right? So that all has to do with understanding buy signals and sell signals and the pricing of the VIX. If there's not a ton of fear in the market, you don't see that kind of immediate confluence reaction, right? When the VIX is priced really low, there isn't much fear, all right? So when the VIX starts to bounce and it's priced really low, that bounce isn't really fearful. Therefore, we don't have as much of that reactionary move on the SPY. Vice versa, if the VIX is trading in 20s, 30s, right? And then you see a bounce, yeah, the markets are pulling back, because if the VIX is really high, the markets are very fearful. So if you start to see the VIX go up when it's a very high price environment, markets get fearful, we pull them back, right? So it comes down to understanding if the trend's positive or negative, and then the value of the VIX, and that will help you better understand when you're seeing that divergence, and then it won't confuse you anymore. At least it shouldn't, I would hope, right? So we can, if you stick in the stream, you'll pretty much see those examples play out, and we'll talk about them. All right, so the market has, pretty much pulled back to those levels. It's kind of shied it, but, sometimes that's just the way it goes. It shies a little bit. So what do we say, right? Basically from this high, we'd be looking for basically a pullback to there, and then this is our kind of support trend up. And then also, if the market keeps trending the way we would like, as far as like the upside here, let me just rephrase that. I don't want to confuse people. This 50 SMA will be our long target, right? With a full-on VIX just sell-off, right? So basically, we will reset the 50 SMA on the market, obviously, if the VIX goes down to its 30-minute. So let me just bring that up. Dang it, what am I doing? Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. So let's just get into this one here. Where is it not even open? Oh, no, it's all the way up there at 24. Is that legit? Why does it just not seem right? It is. Man, that gap's all the way to 20. That's wild. So, real quick, let's get into 5 minute. So 5 minute here needs to be tested. All right, now we're going to get to, say, a 10 minute. That's all the way down there. So basically the first thing we're going to see here is the VIX probably sell down to this 5 minute. So as the VIX is selling down to the 5 minute, arguably the markets probably won't pull back too much. Let's check the market internals real quick. Where are we at with these guys? So looking at the market internals so far, everything on the day is actually long. So there's no reason for this market to really be going down in this exact moment. We're going to need the market internals to change. So you see how since the open, if I zoom in, everything is going up. All the advancing declining issues of every single market are getting bought. Therefore, we're not going to see a pullback to start right in this morning. So for this move, so remember, right, we're below the 50 SMA. So what's that mean? We're kind of in a neutral to bearish environment, right? Well, just because we're in a neutral to bearish environment doesn't mean every moment of the market's going to be trading bearish, right? So what are we doing? We know we're in a neutral to bearish environment, but when we look at the market internals, the advancing declining issues of the market, nothing is selling off right now. So the markets generally aren't going to be going down in this exact moment, right? Because there's nothing selling off, right? So then why would the SPY be going down? It's not going to, right? So if we're going to kind of continue this sell move that started yesterday, one of the things that will have to happen would have to start flipping bearish, and then the momentum would obviously change down. Also, things like the VIX, like we said, the closest nearby support that I see, let me just double check. I don't want to be wrong. Well, there could be like a 2 minute or 3 minute, but I'm not worried about that really. So like we said, the nearest like support level is the 5 minute. So we're not even on really a support that I would see with the VIX. Sometimes it hits things that I don't understand too, but for me, it would just be like the VIX is going to go down to this 5-minute because that's the nearest uptrend level, right? So what do markets do? They go in uptrends and downtrends. If they're not uptrending, they're downtrending. Before they go into a downtrend, they must test an uptrend. So where's the 5-minute uptrend? Here. Where's the 5-minute trend? Here. So as it comes down to test, where's the price going to go? Pretty much there. If the VIX is going down, right? And look at the VIX is at 23. Damon, yeah, let's call you Damon. Damon, VIX is at 23, so volatility is high. So though this drop on the market doesn't look like much, right? So you can see like just going from here to there is only like 10 cents, but that 10 cents is going to basically prevent that market from falling right now, right? And then obviously with the market internals. So yeah, that's that. I got to do some other stuff here. I got to throw my 30-minute volume weighted average prices for the sell move on because that's obviously going to be a potential counter trend target and resistance level. So that's that. And then obviously a 50 SMA break is there. So we're coming into the 50 SMA and 10 SMA VWAP resistance over under and this there. So yeah, that's basically that. Let's go into a 1 minute now. So I would call this right here, what we just hit, a 50 SMA VWAP resistance. 50 SMA VWAP resistance on 30 minutes. So you do got to be careful here because the market could very well use this to spank the market a bit. So do be a little cautious. This is basically our 50 SMA VWAP 30 resistance on the 30 minutes. So this is basically a short-term potential resistance trade. And it's all going to be built off the back of basically the SPY holding that 5-minute support. We kind of shied it, but we've traded down close to that 5-minute. And then obviously we're going to have to see the market internals turn bearish. You can see we have 2 candles starting to print red on the Magnificent 7, a couple candles up here on the NASDAQ going red. So there's not a ton of red, right? Just a little bit, but it's coming in sort of the major market cap stock. So again, even if all markets are kind of going up long, if the NASDAQ and the Mag 7 start to roll, they can generally still cause the markets to go down if other things are still trending up. So that's kind of first 50 SMA, VWAP resistance, short-term scalp, sell, potential, setup, trade, blah, blah, blah. All right. And I always mention this. It's I would say my analysis and trade ideas and things that we talk about, they're a little they're a little easier when it's the day of a buy signal or the day of a sell move. Kind of like yesterday. Remember how yesterday we started the breakdown, and let me change the colors of these. So the yellow is going to be the 50 SMA today. So that yellow is the 50 SMA. That's where we broke down. So we're in a neutral to bearish environment. So the breakdown started yesterday, right? So we're kind of already underway, right? So today's not the day of the start, right? We already broke down. We already back tested and then moved away, right? Now it's all about, does the trend continue, right? And so now it does sometimes get a little trickier as far as analysis because, again, you're not at the start point and you're not doing the back test anymore. You moved away. So we're no longer really looking at, the breakdown spot, the potential back test of the 50 SMA. Now we're kind of moving into, adding different strategies on top of that one to then further hopefully be correct within the sell move. So that's why I have this 50 SMA VWAP resistance on the 30. That's one level that I pay attention to when a sell move starts for potential resistance right there, that level, right? That green guy. The next one that I would arguably pay attention to would be here. This would be the 10 SMA VWAP resistance from 30 min sell move. All right. And then the one above would be the 50 SMA, right? And then that would be the 50 SMA, which is 50 SMA, worst case scenario for current short sellers or sell program, right? Because we know we started a breakdown yesterday. So regardless of retail sellers being short, regardless of computers and algorithms being short, right? Neutral to bearish state, uptrend start over 50 SMA. So if this downtrend fails to continue,
right, and it goes into an uptrend, it must first do what? It must first go to the 50 SMA, and then it would have to go above to get an uptrend. So the 50 SMA, when in a downtrend, is always your kind of worst case scenario for the sell move, right? Because if the sell move fails and reverses, it's going to go to the 50 SMA, right? Why? Because the market just goes in uptrends and downtrends, uptrends and downtrends. To go from a downtrend to an uptrend, you have to first go to the 50. Then you have to break it and then go up. So if you're short, 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 and then the market's like, you know what, we're done with the downtrend, we actually want to go into an uptrend, then what's going to happen? Market will go back to 50 SMA. So that's why I always say that the 50 SMA is the worst case scenario for the shorts right now, right? And this 50 SMA is just kind of a momentum VWAP that we could arguably use in the real time to push this market down. All right. Hope you guys are enjoying today's stream. I know I talk a lot. I know I say a lot, etc., etc., etc. That's crazy. The market's going down, guys. Who would have thought? I mean, literally, who would have thought? What's going on with Bitcoin? Bitcoin just bounced our weekly VWAP. Hasn't really done much. No big deal there. Also, if you look, the 30-minute chart, where's our 30-minute volume weighted average prices? Remember, we said the pullback target, generally speaking, for the day to start is always those 30-minute VWAPs. We kind of shied them earlier. And here's another thing, too, is the VWAPs start from pre-market. There's far less volume in pre-market than there is during a regular trading hours. So sometimes these VWAPs will calculate, like, see how the price is coming down? These will kind of drop down a little bit. So they do sort of repaint. And the only reason why is because the volume in pre-market is so much less than the volume in regular trading hours that as soon as we go from pre-market to regular trading hours, the volume is way heavier. So any movement the market makes will have a stronger emphasis on painting those VWAPs or changing the price of them, right? So just understand that volume in pre-market less than the open, volume or VWAPs used in pre-market prices can be affected a little faster when they start to calculate the regular trading hours volume, right? But anyway, so that's the 30-minute VWAP pullback target. This is a very common setup we pretty much see almost every single day, right? So that would be our early morning short-term pullback target to 30-minute trend, right? Now it's a game of, does the market break or not? So as we come into here, that would be a profit take on a short-term kind of downward trade, because we don't quite know yet if the market's going to at least bounce this once and set up a lower high, or if it's going to drop out. So if you had a short on there, never mind, because that would be something I'm not supposed to say. In a nutshell, it's not a bad idea to protect yourself from this sell move down, because you don't know if we're going to bounce it here or not. So let's see. Again, we just came into what? The 30-minute volume weighted average price pull back target for the day. What did we really just do too, right? If we look at the market, oh, I deleted all that stuff. Really? Did I do that? I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know what. Oh, because I'm doing it on SPX over there. That's why it's not on the SPY. But anyways, there's our 30-minute VWAP from the pre-market. So that's pullback target met. And like I said, kind of anywhere in this zone can have little hiccups and bounces. But if we start to give that up, that's going to cause some ruckus there. Rainy? Did it start doing something cool? Not really. And nope. Ooh, SGBX kind of working. Oh, I forgot I had a small position on SGBX too. So if SGBX goes up, I'll make a little money. Nothing crazy. I did forget I do have a small position on that one. I started that position at $3.90. Now we're at $4.15, so it's about 20 cents on that move. That trade. What SGBX? It's up about 6%. That's not terrible. So we'll take a little profit at 6%. That's not bad. Anyone should be happy with 6% return on their money on any given day. So we'll take a little on that one.
And now we will just hold a little runny, and we're good. All right, that's that. Man, got dog hair in my mouth. All right, Krivna ART. Oh, we're wrong screen. Is it this guy? AKAN. I don't know about that one. That doesn't look right. Can't do that. XRTX. That's lackluster. That's GBX. Nah, wait, what? When did that happen? Let's say. Man, his dog hairs won't get out of my mouth. All right. Anyways, there's our bounce on the SPY there. So again, that is pullback target for kind of the early morning open complete. Then bounce of 30-minute VWAP support at open. Congratulations, everyone. Job well done. Dude. All right, I gotta go brush my teeth. This dog hair is like stuck in between my tooth. All right, we're back. Yay. Where is my big chart? It's right there. Okay. So, right now, market is just doing what? It's just holding its current pre-market 30-minute volume weighted average price support trend, right? So, what? How is that? How is it still in there? I haven't flossed. I'm so confused. So, I mean, really in a nutshell, guys, all we're doing is we are in a bearish move from yesterday, and we're simply counter long bouncing the market back up right now. We just did a 50 SMA VWAP rejection. Yeah, pretty much, pretty close. That will be the 30-minute. So best case scenario today on the long is we're pretty much going to see the market go up to like here, right? So that's going to be best case scenario. Long market goes all the way back up to 66349. I think I missed something in there. Yeah, I did right there. So that would be best case scenario, I think, today. Best case scenario long would be all the way back up there. Granted, like I said, we're not quite looking there just yet.
we'd have to break the 50 SMA volume weighted average price. So before we really would start looking for momentum to be up to, like I said, like up to here, we would first need to break that out, which is obvious, right? To go higher, you must go higher, right? So but what we're really doing is we're pretty much going to stay counter long the market for as long as the VIX continues doing what it's doing, right? So what's the VIX doing? The VIX is kind of doing, like we said, that pullback. 5-day, 5-minute, that's good. So like I said, like that's the 5-minute trend. If the VIX starts to come down and break that 5-minute trend, that would be beneficial for the market to keep kind of counter longing. Obviously, it's going to depend on these market internals as well. Right now, the market internals are still doing okay in the day, so we're not going to sell the market down for the time being. If we can start to break the 5-minute VIX down, we're going to see this long continue to press up, should at least. We're coming into the 50 SMA volume weighted average price, so this is kind of another level. If we start getting above, we can start squeezing the move up higher. And then ultimately, we'll probably just look for a back test of the 50 to the level up here. So that's pretty much where we'll be looking to go, as long as everything just kind of stays the same, which is market internals keep doing okay, VIX continues to slide a bit, and then we should be just fine. And we'll keep kind of pressing this market up. Bitcoin is bouncing. Actually, you know what? I'm wondering if I should add some MSTR because of that. I should. I'm going to take a little MSTR. All right, that's good. So got some MSTR so that obviously if this bounce really rips up like I'm hoping for, then we should get a pretty decent payday on MSTR. Oh, yeah. So anyways, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what's going on. I mean, hopefully that all makes sense to you guys. I'm sure it doesn't, but, you know. Ooh, what's this? What is this one? Sweet. It's nothing. What is that one? I was, SGBX. Nice. Not bad, not too shabby. MSTR instantly working. That's always nice. Market doing really well. Again, we're looking for a long back up to pretty much where the arrows are on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. As long as nothing crazy happened, as long as Trump doesn't come out and say he gave President Xi Jinping a noogie, or is giving him a swirly or something, then we should be just fine. Again, look at the market internals. Everything is just screaming bullish right now. Doesn't mean it couldn't change, right? And market can always do whatever it wants, but everything's going up. FANG, Mag 7, every market's going up right now. No reason to be short. Not entirely true, right? Because, again, things could always change. But for the moment, momentum is still there on the upside. I got to bring back up the VIX. VIX is now to the 5-minute, so you see how we've sold down to that yellow line. So that's the regular trading hours test of the 5-minute. Honestly, it could be different. It could have already changed, yeah, because each 5-minute candle. So we're actually below the 5-minute now. So right now we're below the 5-minute. So that's relatively decent for the market. And yeah. So now let's see. What about next one here? Probably jump to a 10-minute. All right. So now it's all about the 10-minute. So the next trend that we're looking for on the VIX is the 10-minute. That's all the way down at $22.37. So pretty much the way this is going to work now, because remember, markets only go up and they only go down. So what's going to happen? Market can only go two of places right now. It's either going to sell all the way down to $22.40. Stock market's going to rip face, and or this 5-minute breakdown isn't really legit, and we're going to have to back test the 5-minute first, right? So it's really the only things that can happen from this point is a back test of the 5-minute, which is going to look just like I said on the screen. If we can stay below, then we'll start working towards the 10-minute. If the 5-minute break is not legit, we recover, then that 10-minute move is off the table. So I know it sounds kind of stupid at the end of the day, but that's the reality. Things can only go up and they can only go down, which is either going to be back test of 5 minute, which is pretty much happening right now, and then arguably a move down into the 10 minute. All right. All right, well, I guess it's kind of fine. Let's go over to SPX. All right, so we just hit the 30, or yeah, we basically ran into our next resistance. So you remember how we said each one of these levels that we have, green lines or whatever, can be a little bit of a resistance. So see how we just came into that 30-minute VWAP right there. So that's another resistance spot. So as you come into that, you do got to be a little careful. All right. Actually, yeah, you know what? I got to be very careful of that, because again, this is all still what? Counter long into potential resistance, right? The 50 SMA is what flips trend positive. So even though we've been kind of bouncing this up long, this is all still bouncing into potential resistance marks, right? And now look at, like I said, what can happen? Look at the market internals. Look at, they all flipped. Ready? Red, 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 red. Now, what do you get? Market pullback. There you go. All right. So I know it's a lot to take in, and things can move pretty fast, but yeah, I mean, this is what's going on. So we just basically ran into a new resistance right there, which could actually lead to a pretty decent spanker magoo. We'll see. Because this is what we just ran into is the sell signal V. What we already kind of did it yesterday, actually, because we had the breakdown and then the retest right there. So it's really not as good as it was yesterday, unfortunately. But we'll see. So far, good rejection right at the 30-minute sell signal VWAP. All right, so like we said, we're just trying to take it long up to about the arrows. We definitely missed the high side of it, but we're definitely counter trend back into it. Again, still staying bearish overall. Because why? Because the market is in what? It's in a neutral to bearish trading environment. So we're just simply doing a counter long up on the day and seeking out potential resistance, and now back down, right? Not too shabby. What's going on with Bitcoin? Oh, Bitcoin, come on, be cool, go up, do a nice rally, Ripper Magoo. All right, so market's rolling down. Question is, how far can this move go down? We already did the 1 minute reset here, so I'm sure we already reset the 1 minute. 1 minute's already been reset, means we go 5 minute. 5 minute just got reset, so that's done. Next would be 10 minute. Oh, that's right, I can't even use trading view for 10 minutes. So next would be 15s. Gotchas. Alrighty. Like I said, it's not as easy, you know, days after sell signals or maybe buy signals. It's always easier the day ofs, right? Because you're obviously starting a move, breaking down or breaking up, if you will. So nonetheless, that's a nice little rejection off our 30-minute. And let me just clean this up so you guys can really see what we're doing, right? So let's take a vertical line and let's just map off where the market transitioned below the 50 SMA, which is on the 30-minute, which is right here, Alt-V. So Alt-V, that is where the market broke down. When the market breaks down, what do? I take VWAPs and we anchor to the 10 SMA breakdown, which is just above. And then, so basically anchor to the candle that comes through the 10 SMA, and then we anchor to the candle that breaks down the 50 SMA, like that, right? So that would tell us what? That currently the 30-minute
volume weighted average price of the sell move is all located like right there. Hence why we're looking for those counter pops into it and then kind of continued resistance off of it for the time being, right? So yeah, that's that. And actually, you know what I got to do? I need to attach something else here. So most volume is located right here, and this was created from yesterday. So obviously we're selling down. So most of this I would imagine is maybe volume that's trapped from yesterday, and then up and above. Either way, it's the same thing as it's always been, guys. The analysis hasn't changed. We're just in a little bit of a sell move. We're counter-bouncing back to, seeking out resistance, and our kind of worst-case scenario reset for short sellers. Best-case scenario long would be all the way back to the 50 SMA today. Obviously, that can only happen with getting through some of this VWAP stuff, but anyways. Look at the upper band, too. Yeah, upper band is there. Yeah, okay. Again, long targets for the day, maximum is 50 SMA, and again, like we said, all of the lines on the upside are all targets. Also, by the way, if we can start clearing above like 662, I think that's the price. Just double check. SPX. Well, SPY. Yeah, let's just double check. Yeah. We got some work to do. Like I said, we have to get above these zones for kind of squeezes to really take off. So I think we're just going to be doing the old waiting game for a sec. Because again, we already did what? We already did multiple trades so far, right? So let's start with what happened, right? We had the first initial suggestion, which is you pull the markets back to the VWAP and then you basically look long to start. So that happened. We even got 2 tests of the VWAP. So 2 pullbacks too there, and then same support bounce, right? And then obviously as you came into 50 SMA VWAPs and stuff and blah, 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 you have your rejections. So resistance at VWAPs, support at VWAPs, etc. And then ultimate long targets back up if we break out are going to be up here. So, yep, pretty straightforward, I guess. Like I said, it's not an easy day with the way the market is set up. There's a lot of congestion. It's not the easiest, if you will. It's not like yesterday when the market broke down and then things become much easier. All right, so let's bring up the market internals. Let's keep that kind of going on the screen, which is majority of the market is still bullish, right? I mean, if you look at it, right, overall we've had some highs, some lows, some highs, some lows, but overall FANG's still trending up. Most stuff is still kind of trending up / flat. So in order for this market to really roll down, the Magnificent Seven, again, are going to have to give up. Right now, they're pressing to the upside, so market's not rolling. Oh, such a busy chat in here this morning. Oh, so busy. And just to kind of re-emphasize, we are in a neutral to bearish market. We are just short-term kind of counterbouncing markets back to essentially resistance. That's basically what we're doing. All right. Busy chat today. Very busy. Ooh, interesting. Sure. Super duper busy day here in the chat. Gold getting clapped this morning. Not really concerned about it because it's already up a gigantic amount. Still holding entire gold positions, both physical and paper. Have not sold anything. Have owned that basically since 2019. So that's crushing. Still, I don't know if I'm going to keep holding it though, because you look at that and you're like, well, I should take a gain, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, where else am I going to put it? Everything's up, you know? We are just in the biggest bubble ever. It's just wild. We're always in a bubble. We've been in the we've just been in the ongoing bubble. Oh boy. All right. Exciting stuff. Super duper exciting. Again, just basically counterbouncing markets to resistance, etc. For the markets to roll over off of any of the resistance we've run into, we basically need the market internals to roll over, which, you know, NASDAQ, some stuff's doing it. We'll see. It's also Friday. You know, we basically never assume that Fridays are going to be the most awesome trading day. We basically assume there's going to be a couple good moves and then it's going to be meh. Not always the case. Sometimes you get hit with a nice Friday, but just the anticipation of Friday is slow. Mondays, Fridays, slower. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, gas pedal days, typically. Not always the case, obviously. Markets do whatever they want, but as a general rule of thumb, you wake up, you go into the market Monday, slower day, Friday, slower day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, gas pedals. Again, what's going on right now? You see what's going on here in this chart. Market is basically just creating a higher low for the moment off the 1 minute volume weighted average price. It's not on the screen, but we've taught you this a million times. You don't even need me to know it. Ready? Look at there it is. See if you just take two VWAPs, anchor previous low. There you go. There's the market trying to create a 1 minute micro higher low. That's all it is, right? Boom. We're just going to take this VWAP, we're just going to move it here. That means when the market finally relaxes, we already have the next pullback target. Unless a breakout happens, then we have to anchor the breakout. You guys already know. What's the next target up? That yellow line. So obviously with acceptance above this previous yellow, take that high, you're just going to go right up to there. Which really isn't that hard to kind of figure out. You know, at the end of the day, the market doesn't have to move that much, etc. Let's take a look at the SPX. So Well, yeah, SPX is right there too, so that's kind of interesting. So it's really that. I don't know how I got that all mixed up, but either way. Like we said, we're just right into that sell signal VWAP zone, guys. So the best way to think about it is pretty much from this high down and everyone's selling, their volume weighted average price is right there. We're trading into that right now. So if this can't hold resistance and stay down, then obviously the flippening happens and we arguably shoot the market up to the 50 SMA and or the price of 664.50. So again, it just kind of depends. We're going to have to get acceptance over that zone. Oh, I forgot to map off the 50. I wanted to do that. Right there. Boom. Again, I'm not sure if I've been clear. I know we talk about a lot, but we're in a bearish move from yesterday. Market is negative. Right now, we're counter long bouncing the market back, trying to seek out any sort of resistance that may keep the sell move down. Each one of those counter trend targets that we're referring to is pretty much the box and or the yellow lines above current price. We've hit the 50 SMA, that would be T1, or 50 SMA VWAP, that's T1. We've now hitting the 10 SMA VWAP, that would be T2, and then T3 up would be the 50 SMA, which this morning we described as the worst case scenario for the short sellers that participated on the breakdown from yesterday. Best case scenario for longs. All right, we're going to go up to the 50 SMA next. It's almost a guarantee now. Again, we don't like saying guarantees, but it's probably pretty close to a guarantee. All right, what do you mean? There you have it, folks. Bitcoin being lame. Market being cool. Going up to basically where we said it would probably go up to. Why? Because, again, that's just how the game works. Take a look at the volatility index. What do we say? When the volatility index breaks down the 5-minute, that's going to add more volatility to the market. Now what happens? Market go uppeth, right? So that's how we use the 5-minute trend on the VIX to tell where the VIX would pull back to, and then use the 5-minute trend to dictate where the next new downtrend start would be. And now we would hope that the VIX sells all the way down to $22 because then the market would just go screaming up. But do remember, we broke down the 5 minutes, so the market can only do one of two things. It can only sell down to the next level, or it's going to have to backtest. We saw it happen earlier, where the market sold down, broke on a 1-minute candle. The only option would be to go down, or to backtest, and or recover, which it did. Right? So then it went up, and then it backtested, and now we have broken down. So we've effectively broken down the 5 minutes. So the 5-minute selling algorithm on the VIX seems to be underway. Only two options is it sells down to 22 or it catches it footing and it has to go for a back test. In the event we sell down to 22, market just goes for the rippy dippy to the upside. There goes the 50 SMA back test, as we said. So that would be the 50 SMA long target back test complete. So if you were trading up long there, pretty much as we suggested. Again, I hate this. I mean, it can get confusing because I'm saying we're in a sell move, but we're looking at long. I mean, it all plays into one. You have to know when you're in a sell move, right? Because then you know where the reset targets are. The resets are the 50 SMA. So basically the market's back to the 50 SMA. Job well done. We've pretty much squeezed out all the short sellers from yesterday. They're all pissed off. We're kind of giggling here because we know why we're taking the market up. And now it's up to the market. See, now the market hit the 50 SMA. I'm just going to delete all this. Don't even need it now for the moment. Now we're going to go to the 50 SMA. Now this is our main focus. Does the market... You almost always expect the market's going to have resistance at the 50 SMA on the first tag. So this is first tag 50 SMA. You'd assume resistance. Whether it be for 1 minute, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, doesn't matter. There's always some sort of pause there, right? Now it's a matter of does the market actually get above and start accepting? Because otherwise, the market's still in a downtrend. And the downtrend could continue from right there, right? So what did? Yesterday we broke down, back tested downtrend, went down. Today, reset the move back to the 50 SMA. The market's still actually bearish as it relates to SMA algorithms. All right. So now we have our first tag resistance scalp trade down. If the market goes over, starts to break out, then we will flip the bias long. And then you will see the market and the stocks, or then you will see the news in the market transition back to positive. Remember we said earlier this morning how the market was bouncing and the news was saying, oh, the market's going up, things are great, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but we're actually still in a downtrend, meaning we could still bounce the market all the way to here and then still just sell it all the way down. So all the articles that the news organizations released this morning talking about the bounce and the markets are recovering and blah, blah, blah. And then retail's like, oh, it's time to be back long. And so then they get long. And then we really just come back up to trend resistance and the downtrend just stays down, right? So that could very well happen. I'm not saying it's going to, but you know, that happens very often. So there's our 50 SMA back test. There's our 50 SMA first tag rejection short as suggested. So now what we do is we actually anchor a VWAP to this high. Since this is a back test of the 50 SMA and so far it's a rejection, we anchor here because arguably we don't know if it's going to remain in a downtrend from here or not, or if it's going to break up later. But what we do know is that this is a back test of the 50 SMA. So now we anchor a 1 minute VWAP. If this trend is meant to stay down in the immediate, that means it's going to remain below the 1 minute volume weighted average price of that move or that rejection. So that's our counter trend target on the 1 minute. And that's also our expected potential lower high resistance, if you will. And when I say expected lower high resistance, it's the expected point where you could have one start, but not expected as in a guarantee, right? So either way, let's go back to SPX and just kind of just keep repeating it until it gets drilled in your damn head. Ready? Where did the market top here? Right at the 50 SMA. Why? Because again, algorithms run the market. Retail doesn't. You just have to figure out how algos like to move stuff. So market moves up to 50 SMA there. What does that mean? Is the market positive or negative? Market's still negative. Market's not positive. Yes, there's been a long bias move. So some new trader in the market's going to go, oh, look at this idiot. I said there was a downtrend yesterday and the market's in a sell move and look, it's going up. Yeah, exactly. Why is it going up? Because we're doing a back test right now, champ. All right, so basically we've just back tested the 50 SMA. That's first tag resistance, yada, yada, yada. Now what do? We anchor VWAP to the high of that move, bing, bang, boom, just like that. And now we stay bearish below that 1 minute. And basically the best case scenario now for the short is that this is literally just a rejection of the 50 SMA and the downtrend stays and it goes down. And we're going to use that 1 minute VWAP as the trailing trend for this rejection. If it breaks out, we'll just reset all the same strategy. But for now, we're doing the 1 minute 1 minute 50 SMA rejection trade, and we're using a 1 minute VWAP to trail that price. All right, so we're basically back to bearish in the short term with a scalp here down. All right. This morning, we were basically long bias up to reset markets. Now we're just doing a short-term bearish trade that may lead to a bigger sell-off or may not. Time will tell. We will see. Right? And what do we say about the VIX, right? What do we know about the VIX? The VIX has two targets. It's either going down to 22 or it's backtesting the 5 minute. If it goes down to 22, this sell move will not last. As we said, the counter trend target on the 1 minute is what? The 1 minute volume weighted average price of that rejection. So that's where you'd expect what? That the market, once it gets its footing, is going to pop back to about there. Why? Because that's just, again, what happens. Look at the VIX, right? What do we have? VIX has two options. VIX is going to go down to 22 something, or it's going to back test the 5 minute. If it goes down to 22, what's the likelihood that the market keeps selling down? Probably not, right? If the VIX stopped selling down, went for the 5 minute back test, then arguably market would keep selling down. So right now, we're doing the 1 minute VWAP back test. So this is where a 1 minute lower high needs to commence, or else we will see a 1 minute stop out above this trend. All right, so for now, it's the market's position like that. There's your 1 minute high frequency trading VWAP, lower high attempt at said VWAP before it even happened. Why? Because it's just pretty much what happens all the time. Nice job, everyone. Congratulations. Great trade. You see what happened to the VIX. Look at the VIX is popping up. So arguably, VIX could very well be wanting to go for that 5 minute at 23.94. If it pops up to the 5 minute at 23.94, then arguably the VIX is, or the market's just going to kind of keep trickling down for the moment. I mean, the market can always do whatever the hell it wants, but anyways, we'll see this pretty much all play out. Then we'll just have a good laugh about it. In the meantime, I'm going to go warm up this coffee. You know, don't talk too much while I'm gone. Don't chat too much, you know. Wouldn't want to do that.
Dang, you guys were getting busy in the chat while I was gone. Crazy. You guys already know where this is popping to. Just take your VWAP and just anchor the previous 1 minute high. Where's this pop going? Right back to there. Oh, who would have thought? Again, pretty straightforward stuff. So like we said, you just anchor to VWAP to the previous high. Since this move stopped going down, pops back, goes right VWAP. Bing, bing, boom. Alright, so it'd be like that. All these 1 minute VWAPs you're seeing me use, that's the same thing we were doing for the 30 minutes. So earlier when we said, hey, look for resistance right here off the 50 SMA, and then we said look for resistance here off of the 10 SMA VWAP, right? And then look for resistance here off the 50 SMA is the same thing we did here on this little micro. Me and Brandon have been working together for, I mean, almost, I don't even know now. Let's see. We've been partners for 8 years, you could say, 8, 9, 10. I mean, I'm 32. I mean, heck, we could be going on 10 years now, maybe. That's how long we've been working together. Yep. And we met online in my earlier days, earlier chat room days. And then obviously he's far surpassed me in trading by eons, as far as profitability as well. Just crushes it. So very proud of him and happy for him and so on and so forth. And glad to have him part of my team and with me and our group. Basically, Brandon's essentially so good at trading that the prop firms end up kicking him out of their prop firms because he starts taking too much of their money. So they'll just basically stick him with whatever sort of rule that they can use to ban him. They usually end up doing that. So yeah, like Top Step kicked him out because basically it's taking too much money from him. So mind you, just an FYI. Yeah, never mind. And I think Apex did that too. Yeah, I think Apex kicked him out. Yeah, Apex kicked him out because he was taking all their money. Then Top Step kicked him out because he was taking all their money. So essentially, we're just not sure how some online people trade Top Step and Apex and make millions of dollars of profit every month or whatever, or every year, and they don't get kicked out. You understand what we're saying? Somehow my business partner has gotten kicked out of multiple prop firms because, again, basically winning their money. But somehow there's other people that don't get kicked out of their prop firms after taking millions. Do you understand what we're saying? Yeah, you do. You guys get it. Yeah, I'd been investing, right? But nothing too aggressive as far as trading. He was trading before me. He was a little older than I. But yeah, for the most part, you could say. And then over the years, we've developed strategies together and taught a bunch of stuff together. I had my hot moments of trading. This dude's just been on a tear for years now. And so, yeah, that's why I put him in charge of more of like the leadership role in our chat room. And he does all the live trading because, again, he's just significantly better than I. So it makes sense to have him kind of play that role. We do have a chat room. We're actually changing our stuff over next week. We're going to be dropping our current website and kind of moving to a new platform and things like that. But we do. It's all just it's pretty much live stream trading with Brandon currently because I'm basically spending all my time on YouTube. But as we kind of make this move, I'll probably be getting back involved in our chat and streams in some fashion or another. Yeah, we're trying to regrow our business a little bit. So I'm obviously here on YouTube spending a lot of time teaching multiple different strategies, and essentially things that do work here and there. trying to give people free education and edge, and if they want to basically end up, you know, moving over and being paid and basically trading with Brandon, guy who kills it every single day and gets kicked out of prop firms because he steals all their money, kind of, not steal, but, you know, win, then you can, right? So, like I said, he's a little bit more skilled than I, so, like I said, that's why he's in charge of our paid site and paid room for time being. But yeah, stuff is still available. I don't have any links to any of that stuff in our descriptions right now. We're waiting on that till we kind of relaunch our stuff in the right way. So yes, if you see someone on YouTube making, you know, $1 million from Apex, or, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars from Top Step, yeah, figure out how they haven't got kicked out yet, because, you know, we'd like to be let back in. Not me personally, but Brandon. but yeah, so again, if you see millions and millions of profits on the old YouTubes from Apex, or what's it called, be mindful. Be mindful. Usually they kick traders out that are taking away that much money from the company. Oh, the YouTube algorithm. I love the YouTube algorithm. Always stalls us right at 15. It's hilarious. It's so funny because you can literally see the algorithms at work. Like, even our YouTube short videos is kind of funny how, because obviously we look at algorithms for the stock market, so they all kind of work in the same way to a degree. You know, like, once the algorithm's done pressing your video, just like the views just drop off like crazy. It's kind of funny. They give you like a 48-hour window on YouTube Shorts where, you know, you post a YouTube video or whatever, and get some views for about 48 hours, and that 48 hours just drops off a cliff because the YouTube algorithm's like, well, you're done on that video. But anyways, fun stuff. As you guys can see, the market is basically just having resistance at the 50 SMA. So in a nutshell, what does this mean? It just means that the market is remaining in a neutral to bearish environment. All right, so you can see that. You're not going on an absolute tear. When do you go on absolute tears? When the market enters buy signals. So, like, let's just look at a few of them. Ready? So this would be a buy move, right? Market gets over the 50 SMA, bounces it, there's a tear. Market gets over 50 SMA here, there's a tear. Market gets over the 50 SMA. What am I doing? There it is. Market over 50 SMA there, tear. Market over 50 SMA, tear. Market over 50 SMA, tear. And where are we at now? We are market below the 50 SMA, so no tear, but bouncing. I don't see any new penny stock on one of my scanners, which doesn't really say a whole lot. What is this piece of crap? KZR. No thanks. Yeah, this one's no thanks. CREV. Ooh. Wait. 4 hour. Did I miss this one? No. Oh, my GWH is crushing. Let's go, baby. Do you guys remember GWH? Remember we covered this whole thing today? If you don't, just, well, anyways, I'm going to get ready to lock some profit, like, right now. I'm just going to close my whole thing. Yeah, so anyways, if you look at GWH, big old boomer there. arguably still going to move up towards that 7. So, you know, I'll sell majority. And I'll keep a little tizzy for the $7 move. Actually, hold on, that price point might have changed. What am I doing? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. My first day on the job. Yeah, no, I'm closing all of it. Alright, I'm all out of GWH. That thing hit the 30-minute trend there. The 30-minute trend updated from 7 to a price of 682. We just hit 660, or yeah, 682. We hit 668. It's close enough for me. Yep, yeah, so I was, yeah, back in the day, that's pretty much where I made most of my money. Trading was penny stocks until I got cooked on that, and then never really went back to trading them because I was a short seller. And you could say I became fearful because basically my strategy stopped working for a hot minute, lost a bunch of money, then couldn't really grow my confidence back. Now, you could say I'm confidence is kind of regrowing in the penny stock world. I used to not be as good at longs. I was always good at shorting because it's a little bit easier to understand when, like, basically like when something's overbought. You know, it's like like clearly something's overbought. So a little easier at shorting for me back in the day. Real quick, let's just cover all this. What did we say was going to happen with the market on the VIX? You go to the 50 SMA, right? So one of two things is going to happen. Remember, the VIX would either sell down to 20 something, or it was going to do what? Back test the 5 minute. So as it back tests the 5 minute, what happens to the price of the market? Market goes down. Why is the market going down? Again, because we're in a bearish move. What did we just do? We just retested the 50 SMA on both SPX or SPY, whatever one you want to look at, completely fine by me. And what do we say you would do? You'd remain bearish this market on the SPY as long as what? You remain bearish as long as the market stays below the 50 SMA 1 minute VWAP. That's a lot to take in. But, you know, watch this. Okay, this yellow line. Everyone pay attention real quick, and then we'll go to GWH and whatever. So you see this line. That's the breakdown of the 50 SMA. So yesterday what happened? The market broke down. What do? We anchor a VWAP to the breakdown. And then what? You look for rejections into the 1 minute VWAP. And you stay bearish as long as the 1 minute VWAP does not break out. There's your breakout. Squeeze. All right. What's it do? It goes back to the 50 SMA. Here's the 50 SMA. So when the market starts to reject the 50 SMA, you'd basically be doing this. We'd anchor a VWAP there. Market remains bearish below that VWAP. It kind of does a scummy little pop back and whatever, and then it goes back to here, right? And then it would be the same thing. And then we reject it here, it'd be the same thing. So ultimately, the correct rejection and the correct breakdown was this one. Granted, the market had to test 1, 2, 3 times before fully rejecting. But nonetheless, the full-on rejection, same story. You anchor VWAP to here, and you stay bearish the market as long as it remains below the 1 minute VWAP and that fit from the 50 SMA rejection. Okay, fast forward. Where are we at today? Oh, we just rejected the VWAP, or we just rejected the 50 SMA again. So what do? You same thing we did yesterday. A couple times. This is the same thing we do today. The market just rejected the 50 SMA. Anchor VWAP too high. Remain bearish as long as it's below VWAP. There you go. That's how you basically do foresight analysis. Well, kind of, right? I mean, is that foresight? I think that's foresight, right? You backtest the 50 SMA, you anchor a VWAP, you know that the counter trend pops will be back to the VWAP, and then you look for lower highs into the VWAP and then stay bearish below that VWAP. I would call that foresight analysis. I mean, we just did it 3 days in a row. Or 2 days in a row. We posted all the videos yesterday about how you do that strategy, and then you got it. Then you got it set up again today. So that's basically how you apply your setups in real time, right there. I just showed you. All right, that would be. Wait for your setups. Wait for your setups, right? Remember the beginning of the day. I'm like, it's a little trickier right now because we're not starting a breakdown. Remember I said that? I'm like, it's a little trickier right now because we're not at the start of a breakdown and we're not at the back test. We're kind of deciding if we want to continue the sell move or if we want to reset the sell move, etc. That's what we're kind of figuring out, right? So what did we do? We basically ended up resetting the sell move back to the 50 SMA.
we have now rejected the 50 SMA. So far, the market is confirming it does not want to go into a new long. So we anchor VWAP, and now we track the new sell move from that 50 down. So you're bearish rolling into that, and now basically you're going to do this now. You're going to anchor a VWAP to here, and this is going to be where your next counter pop's going to go to, and then this is where you would arguably hope that a new lower high forms. So this is our next new big counter pop level and 1 minute lower high sequence from the 50 SMA rejection. Steph, nice. Basically, you nailed a really beautiful trade there. Congratulations. Job well done. I'm happy for you. That's basically the main objective of our streams and of our forecasting, is that hopefully it will help someone, and hopefully someone is able to make a trade from that or learn from it. But really, it is in an effort to help you guys understand the markets and why things move the way they do, and how you can better analyze the market, better understand the market, and hopefully better trade the market. So anyways, that's that. Bitcoin being scummy, like I said, it's October. Market is arguably supposed to be bearish. We're going to have to wait until Sunday if this is even going to bounce at all, or bounce good. But like I said, this is what we're doing, is betting against the trend right now. Like, clearly things are going down, but we just knew that this would be a sell target and arguable support start. So we were correct. Market sold there. We are correct. Market's bouncing here. Now, do we get a full-blown bounce? That's to be decided, right? Probably. Again, I don't really care whether or not we do or don't at the end of the day. So hold on. We're going to go over to GWH, because not that you guys remember this, or if whoever's stuck all day, but either way, GWH, this is the penny stock that we talked about today too, that I said I liked, had a little small position on it, just sold the rest of my position at this high of like 667. Now, basically, the reason we were long GWH today is because all the same stuff I always teach you guys. So why were we long GWH? Let's go. So we're going to go to a 4-hour chart here. All right. Or wait. Something's off here. I might have done that wrong. Hold up. I'm tripping. Oh, I know why. I'm like, this is not right. Yeah, here we go. There's this guy over here. All right. So, my bad. Something I like to pay attention to for penny stocks, and really just in general. 4-hour chart, 4-hour time frame. So what do we have? We had a 4-hour long breakout start. So ready, 4-hour breakout. 4-hour back test trend. Fails, breaks down, 4-hour. Then it back tests. Once it gets over the 4-hour, that's a 4-hour breakout, right? So basically, I was wanting to be long GWH today in the expectation that we would break out the 4-hour, the 4-hour would break out. All right. So essentially was bullish above GWH for, or at these prices, or when the market was breaking over the 4-hour, right? So this is a 4-hour breakout, back test, push away, back test again, and then go. So basically the market did a bunch of scummy stuff trying to take us all out. Thank gosh I wasn't paying attention to it. I might have got scared on that drop. But yeah, good thing I did a whole set and forget, because I just caught the whole entire move, right? But anyways, yeah, so that's a 4-hour breakout. That's a 4-hour back test, 4-hour long. Why go up to 668? Because we were looking at the 30-minute chart. So if we go to the 30-minute here, you're going to see what? There. So why did I sell GWH right there? Because we just did what? We just back tested the 30-minute. So my 30-minute back test long is complete. That was the whole reason for, well, that was the reason for like the upside targets. Also the 15-minute. So I don't want to be like, oh, I knew it was going up there, because I didn't. It was just an idea, and it could have very well done that. But the first thing was the 15 right here. So there's your 15-minute trend. So essentially, if we go back to an extended trading hours chart with GWH, what happened today? We had a 4-hour breakout, 4-hour goes 15-minute, 15-minute has resistance, pulls back 4-hour, 4-hour bounces the 15-minute basically down, holds 4-hour support again. We go up, we break the 15-minute. Once we break the 15-minute, it opens the door to go to the 30-minute. So then we run up to 668. What's 668? Pretty much the 30-minute trend. Go back to GWH here. delete all this random stuff that I just drew. I don't know if you guys are paying attention at all. Hopefully, I'm assuming so, but either way, here's your 15-minute trend right there. So what happens when you break through 15-minute trend? 15-minute trend opens the door for what? 30-minute trend. Where's 30-minute trend? 30-minute trend's there. Actually, you can even see the 5-minute. The 5-minute was, see, you can even see too, look at the 5-minute went bearish the other day. So 5 minutes been down. Again, we don't trust the 5-minute too much, right? But either way, you can just basically see 5-minute down. So the 5-minute was actually another good trend to use today, obviously, because it broke over, back test. But it was really the 4-hour. So there's your 5-minute uptrend start, so on and so forth. So yeah, that's why I sold GWH there on that high, because not that it couldn't go higher, not that the market could not do whatever it wanted. I just simply follow my systems, which are basically trends, and then obviously standard deviation, which you guys don't see on this, but it's on this chart over here, which is currently on XTRX, but GWH. All right, so we can go into here. If you look at GWH, look at the 1 minute. All right, so 1 minute you just got into +4, +3. You guys know the rule: +3, +4 with a pot, right? So we're coming into 30-minute trend, +3, +4, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera on the 1 minute. You know, if you look at weekly's kind of but if you look at a daily, right? I mean, all basic stuff. I'm not going to go over every single detail, but the simplest thing to understand is just simply the trend, right? If you just simply understand trend, things get much easier, which is what we saw. What 30-minute goes into an uptrend again, so that's an uptrend start. 30-minute, that is a back test of the uptrend, right? This right here breaks down. It never back tests. There's a back test. So I just thought that a back test could be a logical move today on the 30-minute. And then we were just going to use the 4-hour as sort of the uptrend start. Well, different 4-hour, this 4-hour over here. So we essentially just used the 4-hour breakout level to be bullish over the 4-hour. It's not that the 4-hour was going to break out and be great. We just know that what? If we get price over the 4-hour, the 4-hour is positive. So the 4-hour is theoretically in an uptrend, or it's starting an uptrend right there. How good is the move? Who knows, right? But ultimately, that's a 4-hour uptrend start to, like we said, a 30-minute back test. And you guys seen that many times. I'm not going to do it again. Ugh. Let's go, Bitcoin. Let's pump it, baby. Come on. Let's go, market makers. You know as well as I do, it would be much cooler just to bounce Bitcoin here because everyone is so bearish. So what better time than to take it up and then annoy everyone that thinks the world's going to end on Bitcoin. Let's go, market makers. Do your job. Hit it with a pumper magoo. Hit it with the old chimichanga. What's that meme? Maybe if I blow on the screen, it will go up. It's not working. I don't think that meme I saw was very effective. I think there might have been some false advertisement in there. That's fun. That's good. I love sitting in my office alone, staring at charts and talking to people on the internet. More like talking to myself. It's a good time. It's a great time, actually. Come on, good old Bitcoin. You can do it, buddy. I'm sure. What's that guy's name? His name Peter Finch? Wait, that's not him. Peter. I cannot believe I don't remember his name right now. What's the gold guy? Peter that hates Bitcoin. You guys know what I'm talking about. Was it Peter? No, Peter Finch. Is it Peter Finch?
Why can I not think of his name? Peter Schiff. I don't want to say it's Peter Finch. Peter Schiff. Yeah, come on, Bitcoin. Bounce a little bit. I'm sure Peter Schiff will be really happy about it. Come on. You can do it. You can do it, buddy, old pal. Is anything else moving? I don't know. I'm going to start looking around at some random stuff, see if I can find anything. Okay. Ooh, this could be something. This could be something. Or maybe a little bit of something. Yep, I think I'm gonna take a little, just a small chipper magoo on that guy. Nothing crazy. I don't know, man. This one's got an interesting look to it. It might be good. I'm looking at. Nah, dang it, can't buy it. Sometimes they restrict different stocks in my Roth IRA account. I can't trade it. But I was looking at the stock LNKS. I tried to buy some, but they won't let me. So LNKS. This one's, I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. It's really cheap. Like, I don't know if it's gonna have a good move or not. I just see that it started an uptrend today. That's all. So like if I'm looking at LNKS, it started hitting the biggest gainers. Granted, it started an uptrend the other day, so you can see there's the uptrend start. And again, you don't control that, right? That is all computers sending off a buy algorithm. That's literally what happens. Penny stocks go into an uptrend because insiders know, right? And then that's the buy algorithm that they sent off today, right? Literally no retail trader wanted the stock today. No one wants it. No one ever wanted it. Kinda, not entirely true, but the reality is this thing went into an uptrend, and the people that manipulate and control the stock market put a buy algorithm on it today. That's all. Again, retail didn't just all wake up and they go, "Oh, LNKS, what a great stock. Let's just shovel in 10 million shares on it." No. Someone somewhere literally goes, "You know what? We're going to click the buy algorithm on the stock." And so what do? Some backdoor, who knows what sorcery, and then they just click a button and go, "Here you go." Algorithm goes off, stock goes up. So that's what you got to understand is, yes, it might, it's news and it's news breaking and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, if the market wants a stock to go up, they're going to put an algorithm on it and it's going to run it up, right? That's what they do with penny stocks specifically. Anytime you see a penny stock pop up, in the back of your mind, just think they want it up, right? Or they're sending off the buy algorithm. How long the buy algorithm lasts before they just shut the door on you, you don't know exactly. But anyway, as far as penny stocks go, they're all buy algorithms controlled by who knows what sorcerer in the market. But that's it. They run a buy algorithm on it and they run it up. So if you see something up on the day, it's because someone somewhere wanted it to be up in the penny stock world. That's the best way to think about that. And then you don't control the volume. That's most of it's, some of it's obviously retail, but if they want something up, they're just going to send the algo on it. But yeah, so there you go. So the hope is when you find something like this breaking over and holding steady for a couple days, you
can kind of in your mind go, are they gonna send a buy algorithm on it, right? So that's what we get at, is when you see stocks start to break over the 30-minute and kind of hold like that, not just like this where they break over and then they're back down under, right? They really kind of start to establish a little bit over that 30-minute. A lot of times they'll try to send off a buy algorithm on it like that. And so basically, if you had been buying just anywhere in this move, you'd be up, 60% on that swing 30-minute move, etc. So anyways, this one was kind of interesting to me because of that. And then also, I think it just broke out the 4-hour not too long ago. Yeah, if we look at the 4-hour here on this stock, actually, no, it broke out the 4-hour back here. My apologies. So this one's kind of already underway now that I'm looking a little deeper. But anyways, I couldn't even buy it anyways. My Roth IRA account doesn't allow me to do that. What time is it? 10:55? I haven't even looked at the market. What's going on? Oh, it's just still in a downtrend, staying bearish. Oh, yeah. As we said before, where would you expect your next counter pop to be? To where? The volume weighted average price. And now you see where your lower high is developing. How could we have possibly known where the expected lower high was going to be 20 minutes before it did it? That's crazy. What type of sorcery is this? No round of applause. All right. Fantastic. I guess I'll just clap for myself. I'm sure Ricky Gutierrez would be very proud of me, how far we've come. Okay, there we go. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. We'll be here next week. Oh no, my little Bitcoin not doing what I wanted to do. My MSTR is not doing good because the Bitcoin not going up, but that's okay. I mean, it is kind of a slightly higher risk trade, but I don't really, whatever. You just do what it do. Is it the same for the NASDAQ? Yeah, pretty much. The NASDAQ, the only way I can rationalize it, the NASDAQ is a little bit more volatile than the SPY in the sense of kind of price action and respecting levels. And the only thing that can, for me, the only way I can rationalize that is the NASDAQ is a smaller basket of stocks. The S&P is a bigger basket of stocks. So the S&P in itself has a wider diversification of returns, or just a wider diversification of stocks. Whereas the NASDAQ is not as wide of a diversification, and the NASDAQ is definitely more higher beta stocks. Higher beta means higher volatile stocks because a lot of it's tech, etc. So we know that what's included in the NASDAQ is higher beta, higher volatility, and less diversification. What's in the S&P is, high beta, some low whatever, but just less volatile, bigger, wider diversification of stocks. So it seems as the SPY tends to respect things a little bit better at times than the NASDAQ. And the only thing that I've been able to think of over the years that would probably be a reason why is just the wider diversification of equities within the S&P versus a lower diversification model, right? And also higher beta stocks are included in the Qs. So more volatility, if you will. Same strategies apply, but just to me, just not as consistent as the SPY. Okay. Oh my gosh, guys, the market went down. So what's going to happen? We're going to look for the next lower high to be basically right here. This one is a little bit goofy because there's also kind of a breakdown there, but either way, we'll probably be looking for a lower high like right there. Why you keep being weird? Yeah, something like that. So this box that I'm drawing is the next 1 minute counter pop, lower high sequence, etc. You guys know the deal. They're probably still drawing their bull flags and looking for fair value gaps and SMTs and SMDs and TMSs and PMIs and LMIs while we're just chilling. Look at my trend line. Yay. Rookie, my head and shoulders. See, someone's like, see, there's a head and shoulders pattern right here, right? So think about that. Someone is going to go hindsight 2020, go, look at this head and shoulders pattern, whatever, right? Mind you, we were the ones that created this lower high. Think about that. We painted the picture. We painted this head and shoulders pattern for everyone else to look at later. And we simply did that by taking volume weighted average prices of previous sell moves to extrapolate future resistance lower highs. As a result of this resistance being successful in moving down, it has created what looks like a head and shoulders formation. What's that one picture of the guy? It's like up, and then it's like this, and then his mouth is like open and it's drooling. He's got like eyes, and then he's got a bicycle on top of his head. Right? Handlebars. So, yeah, essentially that's how you make a stock chart pattern without even knowing you're going to make it. Oh my gosh, look at, there's our counter retrace pop back to 1 minute volume weighted average prices. Who would have thought? Crazy. Who would have thought? Also, another thing, this didn't have any golden pocket test too, so it's like if you're to put a Fibonacci on this, you will see that the golden pocket never tested of that candle, so we're just going back up, testing golden pocket of that candle. And also the 1 minute above it, I don't even think has a golden pocket test, so no, that's open for business too, etc. Do. All right, I know we've put a lot of VWAPs on the screen, and everyone's like, there's so much, there's VWAPs on VWAPs on VWAPs. But remember, what is the rule? Well, let me just re-add this up here. Remember, the whole purpose of us being bearish here is because of the rejection of the 50 SMA. Bonjour, Sam. Have a good one. So remember, the whole purpose of being bearish in the market in the moment is the rejection of the 50 SMA. We use VWAPs off the 50 SMA to basically predict where future lower highs can be to trade in the direction of that trend. What is the rule? The rule is what? As long as the market maintains below this trend and or the 5 minute. Let me add the 5 minute. It's up there. So I'm going to make the 5 minute a different color. Then the sell move is still intact. But if we start to clear the 1 and the 5 minute trend, you know, just in general, that could result in this sell move from the 50 getting stopped out. All right. So we're bearish from here because that's the 50 SMA rejection. So we're bearish down. You, whomever else that's been trading bearish, computers, algorithms, high frequency trading, you name it. Take everyone, any bank, anybody that has started buying and selling anything from this point to that point. Volume trends are right here. We will stay bearish the market as long as those pretty much stay down. Sometimes the market can be annoying and get a little choppy. I'm not here to explain every nuance of the market, just the generalization. And the generalization would be, as long as the market's maintained below this, then you won't see a big reset long. It will just kind of pop up, flirt, and then continue down, right? But if we get acceptance and the market wants, this is where we launch the market back to the 50. So this is also another way that we basically predict how to predict a reset to the. You'll hear me say we're resetting the 50 SMA, resetting the 50 SMA. So let me show you from yesterday. So when you break down the 50 SMA and then you anchor a VWAP, what's the rules? As long as the market maintains below the VWAP, the trend stays down. If we start to clear the 1 and the 5-minute trend, we squeeze back the 50. All right, so what are we doing? We rejected the 50 SMA. As long as the market maintains below the 50 SMA VWAP trend, then the market stays down. If we start to get above the 1 and the 5-minute, that's where we could start to arguably reset the market back to the 50 SMA. Now, what is the psychological reason behind why we could reset the market to the 50 SMA? Well, I told you that we're bearish off and below the 50. So if everyone is bearish off and below the 50 and they're entering bearish and they're entering short, and the whole reason they're short is because the 50, and then we all of a sudden start to take out their volume trend, shouldn't we squeeze them back to the 50? Because that was the whole reason they were bearish in the first place. So that's how I think of it. I think of this entire move that we just saw down. The reason, even though for other people it's not, but for me it is, the reason of our bearish participation is the 50 SMA. Now someone may say it's because RSI this, RSI that. That's fine. I don't care. I'm saying that this bearish move is because of the 50 SMA rejection. So therefore, I assume that this volume trend is going to be a stop out. So if everyone is bearish because the market's at the 50, and then all of a sudden they get stopped out, why would we not go back to the 50, which is the whole reason they were short in the first place, right? It's kind of like this is home, and we're going away from our house. And then all of a sudden we realize, shit, I forgot my wallet. Am I going to go back to the house to get it, or am I just going to go without it? Well, shit, I got to go back for my wallet. Bam, right? So the whole reason people are bearish and the whole reason computers and algorithms are pushing the market down is because that's a 50 SMA rejection. If we can't hold the volume weighted average price of that 50 SMA rejection, we'll reset all the traders that were bearish because of the 50 SMA. That's the way I read that. And that's the way I see that is 50 SMA, whole reason to be bearish. If we're not going to be bearish anymore, we go back to 50 SMA. And that all kind of ties into the same story, which is what? That markets can only go up. Wait, that's down. Markets can only go up and down, right? And what do the markets do? They go from uptrends to downtrends below the 50 SMA. All right. So we just rejected the 50 SMA. So what can the market do? It can only go down and it can only go up. If it's going to keep going down, then we'd assume, why would we take out the volume weighted average price of this sell move if it wants to go down, right? It would just keep going down. But if the rejection and the sell move is just say, okay, lackluster, whatever, then yeah, arguably maybe we would not continue and then we'd break up. And if it can only go up and down, then what's it going to do? It's going to go up. And if markets only go from uptrend to downtrend, that would be your uptrend level, right? Start. So again, for me, it's just using the 50 SMA system and overlapping as many other tools and things to that same strategy. So literally everything is derived from the 50 SMA, the 30-minute time frame, give or take, and then we just attach VWAPs. We look at Fibonacci, the VIX, and market internals in relationship to that line. Literally, that's it. Everything you see is just stacked on top of that 50 SMA strategy to give more confluence to that strategy. So that's going to be the narrative for the moment. Again, we are basically momentum down until basically I say otherwise, unfortunately. I mean, like, again, I could say VWAP this, VWAP that, or I could literally just be like bearish, bullish, bearish. But yeah, I'm just sitting here trying to do my best, you know. So anyways, we're just, again, momentum down until minimum VWAPs are taken out. Let's see what's going on with the old VIX. Let's see. I don't know where to go. What's the idea? All right. Yeah, I mean, you guys can see. Remember what we said earlier when the VIX broke down the 5-minute? Again, it's basically got two options. Remember, things go up, things go down. Where's it going to go? It either sells down to the 20s, or it's going to have to do what? Back test its most recent breakdown, and that's the 5-minute, and there's your back test. So that's what it comes down to, guys, is just look at the trends, figure out where the trends are for the day, and then understand that things only go up and down. So figure out where the two trends are at, and then you basically know, well, it's only going to either go here. You have two options, right? So you basically have 50% odds every single time that you're going to be right? Because things go up and down, and then find two levels that the price is basically in between, that it either just broke down or just broke out, and then the one above, and now you know exactly one of two places it's gonna go. It's just a matter of time. Well, that LNKS is currently moving up. I couldn't get any of that. That's fine. Just kind of is what it is. It's ill what it is. Bill. Bitcoin, come on. Start cooperating. Or don't, that's fine. Oh, man. I got up early today. I'm tired. Oh, so what's happening right now with the market? It's just pulling back to the 1-minute volume weighted average price off this previous low. Ready? Anchor low. Crazy. Who would have thought? I mean, who would have thought? So now, you know there's someone that's like, oh, I see we have a head and shoulders pattern right here, right? And now they're buying this dip, even though it's below the current selling trend, right? So it's like, I mean, sure, maybe a head and shoulders forms, but the reality is the market in the macro is on the negative side. It's on the neutral side, right? So what do? We remain bearish below the 1-minute and 5-minute VWAP. Once it gets above, maybe we'll change. So again, I feel really bad for the guy who arguably looks at the pattern and goes, oh, I see this nice head and shoulders. So every single book and video on YouTube and Google says I'm supposed to buy right there, right? Well, that didn't work. So much for that pattern. Now what? We're just going to take this VWAP. We're going to anchor to the high. And now the market's pretty much just going to go back to this VWAP. So now, in the very, very micro, that would be your micro trend. So we're still bearish right below the main 1-minute, which I should change the color of that. Maybe even make it bigger. Ooh, that's a good idea. Can I do that? I thought I could. Wait. Is it? Yeah, there it is. So we'll make that one big. We'll make this one red. Because bearish. The bears are red.
So yeah, your main bearish trend is pretty much that red one, and then obviously in the micro, it's these current green ones that we just created from the last lower high, right? So objectively, what's going to happen if the market holds the low here and bounces? It's going to go back to there. All right. If the market breaks out and goes down, then I'll show you what happens next.
Oh boy. The freaking grave. The grave.
Oh my gosh, the market's going down. That's crazy. Who would have thought? Oh, my bad. Gotta move our counter trend level, like I said. It's all based on volume weighted average price. So clearly the market has moved down. So VWAPs have calculated down per new 1 minute candle. So now retrace level is like right there, which just so happens to line up with the 10 SMA right now. But either way. Oh, by the way, counter trend target hit. Who would have thought? Oh my goodness, see how the 1 minute lower high is basically starting right there? Crazy. Oh, man. These ICT concepts are killing it today. Nothing better. My SMT is straight killing right now. What do you do now? Move anchor to previous or new lower high. 1 minute volume weighted average price, retest level. Now, right there. Could sit here and do this all day. Could. Oh, sorry about that. I'm back on here. I just gotta make sure we adjust our volume weighted average price. Okay. Sounds good. Volume weighted average price is now there. And actually, just in case, we should anchor to this false green candle here because we know people stopped out on that. So now that gives us a box from the 10 SMA to the one above. Blah, blah, blah. There you go. There. That's going to be our new counter pop level on the 1 minute. Obviously, you guys know we're just we're bearish. Stock market's bearish. Cheers. I'm very happy that. Oh, excuse me. Stretching. I'm very happy that today's analysis led you guys to staying on the right side of the trend. Even myself, right? So that's good. Oh man, my neck. without a doubt, we 100% know someone started buying this market long today, thinking, markets are fine. Probably because, let's see, what did, wasn't it? Let's go back 1 second. So yeah, basically, what do we got? Like 6 minutes ago, Dow ticks up as traders try to shake off bank credit concerns. 50 minutes ago, Dow climbs 100 points. From all that stuff this morning. Banks are up, or, markets are recovering, and sure enough, yeah, they were recovering just to resistance and down. So just really unfortunate. I got long the market today because I looked at the news. They told me not to worry about the bank stuff anymore. That was just some false scare, and so then I got long the market, and then I just got pooped on. Now I smell like poop, and I've lost money. Terrible day. Market retraced to 10 SMA / 1 minute volume weighted average price of previous green candle there, and micro lower high. Again, who would have thought? Crazy. So now what do? Is take this VWAP anchor there. That's going to be your next one right there, which right now is just basically overlapping with the 10 SMA. So nothing like really crazy there. All right, well, we'll probably end it there for the day. We've predicted far too many moves in the market already today. The brain is getting tired. I'm going to count them all just for funsies. So, number one, we said, well, we'll just count it as one. So we said watch for first pullbacks to here for the day. So that would be the first trade idea for the day. Complete. Also said, watch for your resistance at the 50 SMA first tag VWAP resistance. That's correct. So pullback, resistance, shorts, that's 3. Watch for resistance at the 10 SMA VWAP. 4. Also watch long up to here, here, and here. And then also resistance there. So that's, 7, 8, 9. Then look for resistance here. Look for counter pop to there. Look for resistance there. Look for counter pop to there. Look for resistance there. Look for counter pop there. It's like 15, it's like 35 different ideas for you guys today. So I guess we'll just be back tomorrow for the same thing. You guys have a good one. Or wait, tomorrow's Saturday, so we'll be back Monday. Cheers.